Our next speaker is reinventing food for the 21st century and solving the food crisis. She has, I'm a little afraid to ask what's coming up the stage here, but this is Megan Miller of Biddy Foods. Hi, Megan.
Great. Yeah, I'm just busy eating some snacks.
Explain what the snacks are.
Well, they're fried crickets. They were stir-fried with chili and lime. You want to try one?
Yes. Is there a good one in here? How do you choose?
Good.
Okay, I'll just go for the crunchiest looking one.
They're so good. I also have some cookies. I don't know, like.
Okay.
I mean.
It tastes a lot like chili and lime, and not much of anything else. It's there's a nice texture. It's kind of moist inside.
Yeah.
It's a pleasant flavor.
Kind of like shrimp, right?
So you're going to tell us about these guys and cookies.
Exactly.
Thank you so much, Megan.
Yeah, thank you. So, most people would probably rather eat cookies than crickets, right? Well, if you would rather eat chocolate chip cookies than crickets, you might be surprised to know that these chocolate chip cookies are actually made with crickets also. Because that's what I do. I make chocolate chip cookies and other baked goods with delicious, high-protein cricket flour. So, little Madison, who is 4.5 but not exactly years old in the front row here, had a very good question for me, which is, why in the world would anyone want to eat crickets? And that's what we're going to talk about. Because I actually think that crickets could be the future of food. So, a couple of years ago, I was tooling around Southeast Asia, trying the local cuisine, as one does. And I came across all these food stands filled with edible insects. And I started thinking about the fact that some cultures eat insects all the time, and they consider them regular food. In fact, 80% of the world's cultures already eat insects, except for ours. And I started thinking, why is it that we in the US and Europe and other Western countries don't eat bugs? Or do we? Because really, these guys are arthropods. They are kissing cousins to crickets. So in a way, we already do eat bugs. And I started thinking about the fact that we are not eating bugs simply because it's a cultural taboo for us. We just simply don't consider them food. So I started doing a bunch of online research when I started thinking about this cultural issue, and I learned some really fascinating facts. That if edible insects became a regular part of the mainstream global diet, 33% could be cut from the average food price around the world. 30% of the land mass on Earth is currently being used for the livestock industry, to grow livestock and to feed them with grain. And if we were all eating insects, we could get some of our land back to do fun things with. And 18% of our global greenhouse emissions could be recovered if people ate bugs. And furthermore, there are some huge environmental benefits to eating insects. Do you know that, especially in this California drought that we're having, it takes 280 gallons of water to grow a pound of soybeans, and it takes 1 gallon of water to grow a pound of cricket protein. It takes 20 pounds of feed to get 1 pound of beef, but 20 pounds of feed will give you 19 pounds of crickets. So I got really inspired, and right around the time that I was doing this crazy internet research and starting to talk a lot to my friends about edible insects, the United Nations put out this report saying that we're in a global food crisis, and edible insects may be the key to solving the food crisis. Because by 2050, there will be an additional 2 billion people on Earth, and we're going to need to come up with some new creative ways to feed them. So you may know that here in Silicon Valley, there are a bunch of different startups trying to solve what they call the protein problem, because protein is the most expensive and resource-intensive of the human nutrients that we need in our diets. So this right here is a fellow working with the stem cell burger that was funded by Sergey Brin. But I started thinking, why would we eat meat created in a lab when we have this huge existing biomass of insects on the planet? All we need to do is come up with a way to make them less buggy and less funny looking and more palatable. And the answer, I think, is cricket flour. So I decided to start baking with these things. And I started serving cricket flour muffins and cricket flour cookies to all my friends. And then I decided to turn it into a business called Bitty Foods. So that is where I am today. And if you are interested in trying some cricket flour cookies and you didn't have a chance to do so, come up and see me in the mezzanine at the intermission, and we have a bunch of cricket flour cookies for you to try and buy if you want to. Thank you.